FBI agents seized boxes and documents from Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. This is part of an investigation into the handling of confidential documents.
Yeah, Trump and several top Republicans are calling the search political, and they are demanding answers tonight. So far, the FBI and Justice Department are not commenting publicly. Skylar Henry has more on the raid and the fallout.
Congressional Republicans are slamming the Justice Department and calling for investigations, one day after the FBI searched former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago, Florida residence.
I want to know what led to this. I think every Republican believes that the FBI, when it comes to Trump and other organizations, have lost their mind.
Sources tell CBS News the search was connected to a Justice Department investigation of claims by the National Archives that it found 15 boxes of records, including classified material at Mar-a-Lago earlier this year. The former president and his family publicly blamed President Biden and the Democrats.
They want to attack a guy who they view as his greatest threat, is Biden's greatest threat.
But a White House official tells CBS News they were given no heads up.
The president was not briefed, was not aware of it. The Justice Department conducts investigations independently, and we leave any law enforcement matters to them.
Executing a search warrant on a former president's home has never been done before, and given the political nature of this search, approval likely came from the very top of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
For them to do this, the Department of Justice, the FBI, every I was dotted, every T was crossed.
Under the Presidential Records Act, documents received and sent by the president are required to be preserved. Since the search, protesters for and against the former president have gathered outside of Trump-owned properties in multiple states.
All right, so Skylar, we know congressional Republicans are saying the Biden administration is using the Department of Justice to essentially do its bidding. But the White House says they were told about that search warrant when the rest of us found out. So how concerned is the White House about the optics here?
Well, as a matter of fact, Lorenzo, the White House doubled down on that today, essentially saying that neither the president nor officials that work in the office knew anything about this warrant until it actually happened. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre even going on to say that the president, in a speech after he was sworn into office, essentially said that he would allow the Department of Justice to do its work independently without any sort of obstruction by the White House, saying and telling the Attorney General that he has to remain loyal to the law and not to the president. Meanwhile, as you saw in the piece, House Republicans still are expressing their concerns about this issue. We should also mention the former vice president even weighed in on Twitter, expressing his concerns as well. But many who we've heard from today are also saying to wait before passing judgment and not resort to any sort of violence or anything like that until we see what was discovered.
Yeah, we know the January 6th committee will be back with more public hearings in September. Will that play a role in this at all?
Well, that remains to be seen. We know that this committee meticulously lays out its findings during these presentations that we've seen over the course of the summer. But, it remains to be seen what exactly is there from this search warrant. There is no there yet, so to speak. We know that this is still tied into a National Archives alert to the Justice Department over the findings that it had 15 cases of documents down in Mar-a-Lago in January. But remember, those findings were everything from conversations that the former president had with the leader of North Korea, even the letter that former President Barack Obama left for the former president when he was sworn into office in 2017. So there's still too early to say what these missing documents or what these findings could be related to in terms of what officials found down in Mar-a-Lago on Friday or Monday.
Yeah, so you had this raid that took place. You have Democrats and Republicans going back and forth. What are the next steps? What happens from here, Skylar?
Yeah. Well, with these findings, that remains to be seen. We know today that the Federal Appeals Court announced that House Democrats can have access to the former President Trump's financial records, his tax returns from the years 2015 to 2020. That is certainly significant, given that the former president fought really hard to try to prevent that from happening and tried to keep his financial records private. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi put out a statement essentially saying that it is imperative in terms of the public interest to figure out how much the president president earned over that 5-year period. But there's also all sorts of investigations happening in terms of the surrounding January 6th, from the president's former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to those who were inside of the Capitol on that day. So still a lot to uncover and unpack, if you will, as it pertains to that date and the former administration.
Oh, yeah, Skylar Henry there on Capitol Hill for us tonight. Thank you, Skylar.